You can take the Chucky Hepburn out of college basketball, but you can't take the Chucky Hepburn out of Sleepers Media. Does that
Oh,
work?
Chucky, how you doing, man? Good to see you again, man. Glad we're here.
It's been too long. I thought this would never happen again, but let me tell you, it feels good that we're talking about Chuckles, my PG, Chucky Hepburn. Chucky yesterday was on Louisville Sports Live, which is, per their Twitter bio, the longest running all Louisville sports talk show. Every single Wednesday, 7 p.m. on 939 The Ville. So shout out to Louisville Sports Live. Chucky Hepburn was a guest yesterday. And I did not listen to this interview. I only saw a couple tweets that went viral in quote form from things Chucky Hepburn said in this video. But anyways, this is what Chucky had to say. He had a story of how he ended up in Louisville that I hadn't heard before. Chucky said, quote, I was supposed to visit Kentucky after Louisville, but I fell in love with Louisville and Pat Kelsey. End quote. If you take this quote at face value, Chucky would be implying that both Mark Pope and Pat Kelsey wanted Chucky Hepburn to be their point guard last season in the transfer portal. Chucky was interested in both, was going to visit both, and decided to cancel his Kentucky visit immediately after going to Louisville because he knew he was going to be a Cardinal. That's what I would take that quote at face value to mean here. Haven't heard this story before. Did not even know that Kentucky was involved with Chucky Hepburn last year. I don't remember that whatsoever. So, do you believe this to be true?
I do because isn't it fair to believe this because of just this fact alone? Who are the point guards that Kentucky got last year in the transfer portal?
Lamont Butler and Kirk Risa.
Kind of in the same mold as like a veteran, like point guard like Chucky Hepburn. Also, Chucky Hepburn is better than those guys. So
A lot better than those guys.
a lot better. So yeah, I 100% believe that Mark Pope was very much in on Chucky Hepburn.
So, I don't know if this is true or not, but the number one comment to this tweet from Louisville Sports Live that has the quote is a Kentucky fan account called Big Blue Dylan, but he responds with this. Take it for what it's worth. Not calling Chucky a liar, but he visited Louisville April 24th, committed April 25th. Mark Pope and staff flew out to see Lamont Butler in person on April 24th, got his commitment April 26th. So little timeline stacking there of like, was Kentucky really waiting on Chucky Hepburn when we flew out to see Lamont the same day Louisville hosted Chucky? I think Kentucky could have wanted Chucky and still been doing the same things they were doing with Lamont Butler, though, for what it's worth. Like, they probably wanted Chucky first. And when Chucky was like, hey, I'm going to go to Louisville, I'll come to you tomorrow. He's like, oh, shit, let me scramble and go visit Lamont. I don't know. That would be my guess, but I don't know. It would make sense to me on paper, even if Kentucky fans don't want to hear it. It would make sense to me that Mark Pope wanted Chucky Hepburn. He was good. I think he was better than any point guard that Kentucky took last year on paper.
Mm.
And I also believe, I totally buy that Chucky Hepburn, of all people, would be the kid to get swept off his feet by Pat Kelsey and cancel the rest of his visits.
100%. Be like, man, come, I got these shooters that you could play with. I got Edwards, I got Rain Smith. Like, you're just gonna be the point guard. You're just gonna get all these assists, and it's gonna be fun to play for me. And ah,
Yeah.
Pat Kelsey, like just doing all that stuff. And I feel like that definitely, after coming off, Greg Gard for a couple years, my guy, successful, bland. Pat Kelsey just is full energy, going down slides, all that.
Yeah. Let's also remember, like, we started talking about Chucky Hepburn a lot last summer because of the nature of his recruitment and commitment quickly. It was the
Mhm.
talk of the sport because there was a price tag associated to it.
Yeah.
And we thought it was shockingly high, but with where the sport is headed, it would be looked at as a bargain looking back on it. So,
But
yeah, I don't know.
also, you think there's a world where Chucky Hepburn wanted to be able to look his coach eye to
Okay, that's crazy.
eye?
Um, More importantly, is this just a little rivalry fodder here? Is this Chucky Hepburn, like, as a Louisville guy, L's up now? Just, yeah, no one needed to hear this, but my coach stuffed Mark Pope in a body bag. Mark Pope
Yeah,
wanted me, and I didn't want him. Why would we
I
want
like
him?
that.
L's up.
That's up. No, I like that. I like that energy. I like because I feel like when you transfer into a school, sometimes you can get lost in like what the rivalry is, I guess. Like you don't really immerse your because you weren't like born in it, you didn't come up in it, you didn't do anything of that. This is in a short year that he was there. I think he realizes what this means, and he also realizes that like this is Kelsey versus Pope, this is Louisville versus Kentucky. I got a chance here to get a win for my guy, because that's my guy too, by the way. Like he I had a good career at Wisconsin, but he took my career to the next level. Um, yeah, that's my guy. He did that. So I'm a rep my guy, and in while repping my guy, I'm gonna put down the ops.
So yeah, this is kind of out of your playbook, right? Like wherever you go, you're gonna throw a little subtle shade whenever possible at a direct rival. So I think you and I applaud this type of behavior. Um, Flip it, other side of this. Had Mark Pope gotten Chucky Hepburn last year, how much better is Kentucky?
A lot.
Like they went to a Sweet 16, won every marquee non-conference game last year. What are we looking at? If Chucky Hepburn's their point guard instead of an extremely injured Lamont Butler and Kirk Reese is sitting and watching,
They have a better regular season. March, you never really know what could happen, but I would bet that they wouldn't go further.
that's kind of where I'm at. But also, you could also, I don't know, if Chucky Hepburn had gone to Kentucky, he would have just missed 2.5 months. I don't know what was going on with that team last year.
Yeah, they
So
were they were going through it.
I think it worked out for all parties involved. Last thing for me feels like maybe the biggest narrative that we've covered in recruiting this summer. It's felt new, it's felt different. Has been Pat Kelsey versus Mark Pope going head to head. Last year, they were both brand new coaches. It was all complimentary. Remember, it was just a lot of outward praise. Like, I really like that guy, excitement, yada, yada, whatever. This year, they're not doing as much of that. They're still not being disrespectful, but it's a lot more like, we both want that guy. I want that guy. He wants that guy. We're going at it. It's my guy. Not your guy, my guy. Is this a sign of things to come? If this story is true of how Chucky Hepburn's recruitment went, it was essentially the first time that Pat Kelsey and Mark Pope both wanted a guy at the same time. And it ended with Pat Kelsey getting the guy and Mark Pope not even getting a visit.
It's,
Is
oh,
this
it's
a
just, oh,
sign
it's,
of things
oh,
to come?
oh, it's just the beginning. It's just the
What,
beginning.
what does that mean?
It means there's a Tyron Stokes decision to be had. There's a Tay Kenny decision to be had. There are going to be Mark Pope versus Pat Kelsey battles for years and years to come on the court and off the court.
But I mean, is this a sign of things to come in terms of results of those battles? No doubt they're going to battle. This one went Pat Kelsey wins. Pope didn't even get a visit.
Yes, I do think that.
You think like fast forward 10 years, what percent of head to head Mark Pope, Pat Kelsey recruitments do you think Pat Kelsey wins?
I I think that Pat Kelsey wins the majority.
Whoa.
Like six out of like it may be a small majority, like six out of I just think that I
Maybe
don't know,
six, maybe six, 7 out of 10.
like 6, 7. Like I just think a certain level of recruits are going to resonate with Pat Kelsey more than they resonate with Mark Pope, and that has nothing to do with success on what the teams could be. Like they could resonate with whatever they want. Well, it's remained to be seen like who's the better coach, who would you rather have, anything like that. But as far as like recruiting chops and things like that, I feel like Pat Kelsey might have a little bit more of a certain style that might resonate with maybe younger kids, possibly more than Mark Pope. But also, like, there are going to be a certain amount of kids that are wired to maybe resonate with Mark Pope.
Yeah, we got to wait and see. That's the interesting part about how much they've gone head to head this summer, though, is because on paper, the two have very different personalities and almost very different values. So you would think like a player that is wired to mesh with Pat Kelsey would not be wired to mesh with Mark Pope, and vice versa. A player that's going to like totally hit it off with Mark Pope, I don't think would necessarily hit it off with Pat Kelsey. But I don't know. They're playing in the same pool so much that it's almost like they just gotta contrast each other and see who wins repeatedly. And I think you're right. I think on paper, Pat Kelsey is just such an enthusiastic, infectious, unique weirdo personality that players I feel like. There's flash to it. And not saying players don't like Mark Pope. From all we've heard, every single recruit loves Mark Pope too. But I don't know. There's not many guys in the country other than Pat Kelsey that I would want to avoid on the recruiting trail more. And the reality is, if you're Mark Pope, if you're Kentucky's head coach, you can't avoid Pat Kelsey and Louisville's head coach right now, as this Chucky Hepburn story was a reminder. I don't know. To end this, I would just like to make it known one thing that would have happened if Chucky Hepburn did go to Kentucky is that Chucky Hepburn would have won a tournament game.
Ooh, that's very, very true. Also, balls in Mark Pope's court. Um, I think he probably has him in his phone as like LB or something like that. We're calling up Lamont Butler, getting him on KSR tomorrow, saying that he spurned Pat Kelsey because he thought Pat Kelsey was a fake energy guy.
Yeah, there's got to be some sort of chess move back. I agree with
Yeah,
this.
we're not going out like this. We will strike back.